Hi, so you can already tell from the title of this video, we're going to be talking about things we wish we knew about before marriage. Before marriage. And no, this is not a regret video, okay? We already shared a video on talking about how we waited and how that's impacted our marriage.
Yeah.
But this is just sharing things that we wish that, no one really talks about some of these things enough, especially in the Christian community. We wish they were talked
Yeah.
about deeply.
Yeah.
Yes, we try to learn about these things before marriage, but then we just wish that some deep things were really discussed,
Yeah.
right? And so we're just trying to share to see how helpful it can be to others as well. Because if we knew these things early, right, it would have prevented some pressure and even some misunderstandings that we had.
Yeah.
So we just hope this helps. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very essential, and these are the kind of things that should be shared in some premarital counselings.
Honestly.
But those are not done. But hopefully, someone can pick out something from this discussion today that will help you walk into marriage with a healthier mindset about the the thing. Zaozarum.
Okay, what do you call it?
Zaozarum.
Oh, that was a room. Nice, nice. And I urge you to kindly stay till the end of this video, not just for my analytics or anything, but because it gets deeper with every point. Trust me, it gets deeper. Number two is deeper. It gets hotter with every point. So this is not me putting the best points forward. No, it gets hotter with every point because everything is building up to each other. They're building into each other. So I would urge you to watch this video to the end so that you can get a wholesome view of whatever it is that we're trying to talk about. All right. So let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing is that the wedding night doesn't have to be perfect, and it's okay. Okay, so even if the wedding night it's not perfect, the wedding night itself is not a determinant of your sex in marriage. Okay, because sex is a lifelong journey in marriage, right? So because a lot of people get disappointed. I mean, I saw a post some lady was saying if she had judged by her wedding night, she would have divorced her husband, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect. There's a lot of anxiety about the perfect wedding night. A lot of people, in fact, I feel like a lot of preparations that we do in marriage is more about the wedding night itself than about the act in marriage, right? So it's about everybody trying to get it right, wedding night and all of that. So it's like we just need to take the pressure off yourself about perfection and unrealistic expectations. Some people have unrealistic expectations for that first night, for the very first night. So really, I feel like it should just be a night to just get to know yourselves, and not necessarily about perfection, because it's a lifelong journey. You cannot judge. Some people judge the sex in their marriage on the basis of that night. Maybe you're disappointed and you think that that's how it's going to be throughout the marriage and all of that. In summary, the wedding night is not a marker of your sex in marriage. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. There are many things that can make the marriage, the first night or the wedding night go not as planned or as expected. Those things could include the whole stress from the long day that you've had, some level of anxiety, but preparing your mind ahead of time to know that, we want this to be good. But if it doesn't turn out to be the way we expected, it doesn't mean that anything is wrong. It doesn't mean that we are not compatible. It doesn't mean that this is going to determine how it will be going forward.
So for me, this next point is actually very important to me. It's something I wish I really, really knew and understood very well. And that is understanding the differences between the male and female sexuality, right? That understanding the male and female sexuality, that they are totally different. Okay. Now, of course, I'm a doctor, and and also I've heard people talk about men need sex. People like Miles Moreau will say men need sex. I try to read about all these things, but honestly speaking, I didn't understand the depth of that need. I didn't understand how very important it is to a man. I didn't understand how sex can affect a man. I didn't understand that the desires of the man and the woman, they are totally different. Okay, so when we got married, I found out that my husband was desiring him more. And I was just wondering, I was wondering why. Initially, I thought something was wrong with me because I wasn't desiring it as often and as much as he was. I thought, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with him? Because I think the mindset I had was that we both have to feel like, is when both of us feel like, then we'll now do everything with magical. That's what I just thought. I mean, I didn't know that it's going to be one person is going the differences there, as in there'll be a gap between the desires and a lot of that. So because of that, this little it kind of caused little misunderstanding sometimes, because I didn't understand. Like I said, I had a mindset that both of us have to feel like it's when both of us feel like, and then we'll do it and all of that. Or initially I said I thought something was wrong with me, or I thought something was wrong with my husband, but I've come to realize that it's actually normal. And that's how God created us. God created the man differently from the woman. Everything, the makeup of the man is totally different, and even the way the man is wired wired regarding to sex is different from the woman. That's how God made it. Okay. Example, I found out that the men think about sex more than women. I was reading a book, and then there was a lady that said something. She was asking the counselor. She was just like, it seems my husband never thinks about his sex and all of that. And to be honest, there was a time I used to feel that way. So like,
imagine.
So she just wrote that to the counselor, and then that she thinks that this is, and all of that. And then there was a reply that he made. He said something like, "Oh, that actually that normally men think about sex more." Then he now asked the woman, "Can you guess how many times a man thinks about sex more than a woman?" It's not twice more than a woman. It's not 5 times more than a woman. Guess.
7 times.
7 times, really. It's 33 times more. That's a shocking statistic. They said a man thinks that 33 times more than a woman.
Really?
Like, yes. So I was like, wow. So these are things that I'm learning, and I thank God for that as well. So understanding this made me realize that this is how the man is wired. Men generally, like, this is how a lot of men, rather, they are generally wired, and this is how God made it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so notice that we are not saying that women don't desire sex, right? Women do desire sex as well, but it tends to be that the way they are biologically wired is such that men have it more. And there is that biological explanation to that as well, which is the hormone testosterone, that the man has it inside him more than the woman. That the woman does have testosterone as well, but of course in lower amounts that compared to the men. And so this is why that happens. Okay, beyond that, right, it tends to be that this is one way that men know how to, or men feel loved. Particularly for a woman, it might suffice that we maybe tell you sweet words, buy gifts for you. Those things can be the way you feel loved. But for most men, respect is one of them that we will popularly say. But sexual intimacy is one of the ways we feel valued, loved, cherished, okay, and even respected, right?
Honestly, I didn't really understand these differences until I think there was this book that I read. I've even reviewed it in my channel, God, and he was now explaining this, and I was like, oh wow, so that this is actually like, it was just like more of an eye opener for me. I began to understand some things. Okay, is this why it looks as if my husband feels like more than I do? I now started to understand, the needs of the man and even of the woman, and how a man is emotionally even tied to this. I even learned so many things. It's not even just desires, and the man thinks about sex more, he desires it more, and even the arousal and stimulation for between a man and a woman, they're totally different. A man can be visually stimulated and all of that. So sometimes a woman needs physical stimulation. So a lot of things, I was just, it really helped me, understand things better, and I thank God for that. So now, understanding these differences, let's not forget that these differences were put by God, and when you even understand this, you will realize that there's nothing like sexual incompatibility or sexual compatibility, because a man and a woman will always be different. Okay, and that's how God himself made them. And so when you understand these differences, it just means that you now have to work with it and see how you people can blend together to make it work for the marriage, right? So it means that you have to, there has to be some form of compromise in a way. For the man, it might just mean being patient, knowing that okay, she doesn't desire it as much. It means being gentle, being patient, being understanding sometimes, okay. Or for the woman, it might also mean just some form of compromise sometimes when you don't really feel like, but okay, this is a way I show love and all of that. So it should just mean that both of you just find a way to strike a balance. And I think that is you learning to love yourselves better, knowing that this is how we are, but we try to meet somewhere for the health and for the good of our marriage. Is actually a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So the next point closely relates to the previous one is that you don't always have to feel like it in marriage to have sex. Okay, you can't subject this beautiful gift that God gave in the context of marriage to feelings or emotions. Okay, so this gift that God gave, I'm going to talk extensively about this subsequently in another point where I talk about the importance of sex in marriage beyond pleasure and procreation, right? But sex in marriage helps you, bond very well emotionally. There's this emotional connection when you bond. So it's going to make you not subject sex in your marriage or relegate sex to just feelings or to just when you feel like. It's just a way to say, if this thing gets us connected emotionally, then I just have to do it. We have to try to do it as often as we can, not just when we feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not saying be robotic about it or that sex should be like a forced thing, but it's just having that understanding that your spouse may have a need when you not necessarily feel like it, and then that you should also be willing to serve in that moment. So, but like you said, sexual intimacy in marriage should not be subject to our moods, because moods are fleeting, right? You can't depend upon that for something as important as this to the marriage. So it has to be more of service, right? If at any point, and there will be many of those times when the both parties feel like it, and you have that moment of fireworks, candlesticks, and all of those times. Sometimes even deliberately plan it ahead of time and have that. But there will be also many times when it is one party who wants it and the other party is not necessarily feeling those raging hormones at that point. But also knowing that this is the person I love, this is important to them, this is important to our marriage, I have to serve this person now and build the bond in our marriage, then it should be done.
So regular sex in marriage builds intimacy, and of course it prevents a lot of tension. It's like a glue. I mean, you see sex as a glue in marriage, something that connects you both emotionally. So imagine if that glue is weak. Imagine how, far apart you guys can be. And I think this is the difference between people becoming roommates, when these things are not happening frequently. So when there's regular sex, couples bond better, and then there's an emotional connection too. But when it is rare or infrequent, there's some sort of emotional disconnection. So if you know that your intimacy is enhanced by this, you can't subject it to feelings. Okay, right. Okay, so the next point is that a good is not just about climax. Like, it's not a measure of a good encounter, right? Because if you don't understand this, sometimes you might feel disappointed, because the truth is that it's not every time, especially for the woman, most times for the woman, that you're going to get there. And it should be okay. It shouldn't now start putting pressure or getting upset with your partner, or getting upset with yourself, or getting disappointed, or even now canceling X in your marriage because of that. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's okay to desire to get there, and all of that, but when it doesn't happen, it doesn't mean that it's a bad encounter, right? So you can just enjoy your partner. Sometimes it's just about the connection, really, just the presence of your partner, just having your partner around, and just enjoying your partner. Sometimes it's not every time you get there, so just have that at the back of your mind. Basically.
So this is not to say that you shouldn't hope or aim to reach to the peak, to cloud 9. But it's just to say that being fixated on that can actually be counterproductive. I was reading this book by Viktor Frankl, titled The Man's Search for Meaning. So he goes into a little bit of psychology, right? And he talks about this phenomenon called hyper-intention or hyper-attention. So it's a concept that when you fixate on something, when you put all your concentration on something, that thing that you're concentrating on then becomes elusive. It doesn't happen. Okay. And so in terms of sexual intimacy, it could be that, and he told a story as well about a young lady who this happened to. If you are all the time fixated on a certain point of the climax, and you are just hoping, oh, is it going to happen? Are we going to get there? Your mind is just focused on there. Then you take your mind away from your partner and you are fixed there. The chances of that then happening becomes lower. But that can usually happen as a side effect, meaning that if you focus on your partner trying to give rather than thinking about being obsessed as to whether you will get there, what you will find, or many times what happens is then that getting to that point comes as a side effect of doing it the right way, which is not focusing on yourself or focusing on that point, and then just doing what you ought to do, right? And so that's basically the essence of the whole encounter. Is not necessarily to just get there, and like I said, aim for it when it's possible. When it doesn't come, when it doesn't happen, then do not then think that it has been a disaster or something terrible has happened, because it would then establish a vicious cycle.
And sometimes you can just put pressure on your partner, or make your partner disappointed,
Exactly.
or feel bad, or anything. And what's supposed to be a connection can now be like something making people disconnect because there's disappointment and all of that. But it's not every time that you have that encounter that you get to the peak. So, and it should be fine. Some days are fireworks, glorious. Some days are just okay, fine, yeah, hallelujah, and all of that. But the most important thing, like we said, is that you are doing something good for your marriage. You're trying to build a healthy marriage, and not just about the climax or the peak. So yeah. So I've come to learn that there's a bigger picture of sex in marriage. God's design for sex in marriage is beyond pleasure and procreation. Yeah, because sometimes when we think about you think about pleasure, enjoying it, and yes, God wants us to enjoy it. And we give God the glory for that. And then there's the procreation, you know, that we should multiply and all of that. But there's also more. There's also a bigger picture. And honestly, when we understand this, I think we'll value the gift of sex in marriage, and we'll probably know the importance and even take it a little more serious, right? Okay. One thing I've come to learn is that sex in marriage teaches us to love like God. It also teaches selflessness. It's so amazing when I found this out, that God can use us as a tool to teach us to become more like Him. Do you understand? So, like, and that is why it's even more beautiful in the context of marriage. In marriage, it's teaching you selflessness, because tell me why God will make the man and woman to have different desires. This one is, you know, loaded with testosterone, and the woman is there, or put it this way, the man has a higher libido and the woman doesn't have as high as the man. I believe God is trying to teach us selflessness, where you can meet yourselves and say, okay, you know, the Bible says that love is patient. So where the man is going to be patient and be like, I know she doesn't desire this as much as I do. I'm going to be patient with her some days where she's not in the mood, or some days where she's tired, she's taking care of the kids, she's doing a lot of things. I'm going to understand and be patient with her. I'm not going to keep record of wrong and be like, why is she always saying no? And things like that. And for the woman as well, it teaches you to love, because you're going to be like, I do not feel like, but I love you so much. I mean, it teaches you sacrifice. We understand sacrificial love as well. Okay, so it teaches you to love like Christ, where you're just selfless in loving. Like, even as a lady, you're like, I don't feel like doing this, but sacrificial love, the God kind of love demands that I just do this even if I'm not in the mood. It's love. I love my husband so much that I'm just going to do this even if I don't feel like. That's you communicating love. Even the man too, sometimes the man will not feel like, and you're like, I love my wife and I'm going to do this. So you learn to love. You also learn to serve without being selfish. I serve you. You're not going to put yourself first. You're not going to put your emotions first, like we talked about earlier, where the man is likely to climax most times than the woman. But knowing this means that the man is not going to be selfish. He's going to say, how do I pleasure my wife to make sure, okay, maybe start with her first, or what do I do to make sure she also enjoys it too, you know, and it's not just going to be me. You see yourselves, you see you trying to please your partner and honor your partner. You honor one another even in the marriage bed. It's actually beautiful. It's spiritual. Sex in marriage is actually really spiritual. Okay. Another thing is, I talked about love, I talked about selflessness and kindness. And when you understand this, okay, when you show love, especially I'm using especially as ladies, because you know, most times it's we ladies that don't really feel like, when you see it as a way to love your spouse and you show love to your spouse, right, it's going to really, it's like you win your partner through love. Do you understand? There's something it's going to do to your partner, and which will in turn affect your marriage positively. I was going to give an example, but I'm just going to light talk first, and I'll not give an example. Share an example.
Which example is that? Give it.
I should give it. There was a time that you came back from work one day. You had a long day shift, and I had prepared for my night shift. So you were coming for a long day, and I was going for a night. So I think you had done a long day up until, was it 8:30 or 9? You came at 9 p.m. because I know that my shift was starting around 10, but I had to leave the house like around 9:30. So I was already dressed, and I was just waiting for you and on my Uber as well. So you just came in. You told me how tired you were from your shift. That you were so tired. You just laid on the bed. I even made food. I told you there was food, and you didn't. You said that you're even too tired to go and eat, that you just want to sleep, that today was a very hectic and busy day, and that department you were in was, I can't even do that, shift. So, and I was going for a night shift. So by the time my Uber arrived, so we just spent like maybe roughly 15 or 10 minutes together before my Uber arrived. My Uber arrived and said our goodbyes, and I left. Now, when I was downstairs, the Holy Spirit just reminded me, you forgot your jacket, because I brought out my jacket and it was on the bed. You forgot your jacket, but I was thinking, Uber has 2 or 3 minutes wait. Do I want to go back and get my jacket, or let me just, because I was already downstairs, I was like, let me just forget about it and just endure whatever, and just go. The weather will be that cold. So I thought, and I left. While I was waiting for handover, just a few minutes. So I arrived earlier, maybe like 15 minutes earlier than usual, because there was no traffic and all of that. So while I was just waiting for the handover, I just called my husband just so we can gist and all of that and how he's doing. And then I just said, I just mentioned, I think you're the one that noticed it when I mentioned I forgot my jacket. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to manage and all. And you told me, that the weather really gets cold, especially in the particular hospital that I'm working, because I was doing night shift, and it was night shift. It's going to get cold in the middle of the night, especially that doctor's room. I was just like, I'm just going to manage, and all of that, just one night and all. And tell me why Few minutes later, after my handover, my husband calls and he's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm in the doctor's room." He said, "Okay, come out. I brought your jacket." You guys, I almost cried that day. I almost cried at that level of kindness. And truth be told, it was so cold that night. If I didn't have that jacket, I don't know what I would have done. It was so cold. Now, him bringing that jacket to me wasn't easy. Remember, he had already told me how tired he was, too tired to even eat, go and take food from the kitchen. But he brought my jacket for me. And then we didn't have a car, so he even used Uber, which was like, like maybe over 15 minutes from where we live. And then he now took Uber back. I don't know, I think I almost cried. I blessed God for the kind of man he gave me. But that's a kind heart. I jokingly tell him that if it's me, I'll not bring that jacket for you. Especially because he offered initially, and I told him, "Oh, don't worry." And I think he offered, and I was like, "Don't worry about." No, he didn't. He was just telling me, "You need your jacket," and I was like, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." For the man to, for him to, if it was me, maybe he said, "Don't worry." I tell me, "I'll not worry. I'll tell God." He said, "I should not worry." But he came all the way. And I know what that did to me. I know how I felt so loved. Even if I know that, yes, you love me, but I know how I felt. I saw kindness. This is what we call kindness. So it's the same thing with sex in marriage. There's a way your partner will feel, even when you're thinking that, oh, you're tired or you don't feel like. But sometimes when you make that little sacrifice, extra sacrifice, it does something to your partner, which will in turn do something positive, impart something positive in your marriage. We all want our partners to be kind. You can show, we try to show kindness in different ways, but you can also show kindness in your bedroom. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. That's profound. Yeah. I just wanted to buttress the point on sex being beyond procreation and for pleasure. It fosters unity and it fosters it's the glue, like you said, that binds marriage together. So that's why when we talk about sex, we speak about soul ties, right? And also why the Bible says that, don't you know that he who joins himself to an harlot has become one with the harlot. So intimacy or sexual intimacy is the way you become one. Okay, if you know a thing or two, if I recall rightly, in law there is something about whether a marriage has been consummated or not, even after marriage and wedding. Okay, if a marriage has been consummated by the encounter, then the process of actually dissolving that marriage is a bit more rigorous than when it hasn't been. So if you view sexual intimacy as a rope or a cord, then probably each time it happens, it's like that rope is binding that relationship together. So the more you're doing this, the more you are trying to strengthen the cord that holds that marriage together, which is also why infidelity is like introducing a third party. And when you introduce that third element, it stretches that rope and threatens to cut it and sever it, and may actually end up severing it. So that's one thing about it. The other thing that I love the point you raised about sacrifice. Yeah, it can be. I mean, in marriage, you should know that, yeah, if you're not feeling like it, you can sacrifice and do this. If you are feeling like it and your partner is not feeling like it and they are tired, there is a reason. You can also sacrifice and let that go for that moment. Now, and that sacrifice should come from still a place of love, not that I'm sacrificing and then you are just doing it with resentment. Okay, at that point it's no longer sacrifice. So love and sacrifice are closely linked together. Because imagine Jesus dying on the cross of Calvary for us and giving up, making the sacrifice and saying, I'm just going to die for them. Look at their head. Look at the people I'm dying for. look at their head. See this one. They're not even. They don't even send me. They don't rate me. If not for one thing now. Do you understand? But he died for us out of love, and even when we did not regard him, even though he knew that some people were still not value the sacrifice that he's making, he went ahead to do it anyways with love.
And his
right?
attitude.
Exactly, his attitude towards it was that of love whilst doing it. So some people can just be like, okay, now they say it's an obligation, or men like it more than women, or just do. And they are just there like that. So that's not what we are advocating for, or what we are suggesting. What we are suggesting is that this is done from the place of understanding that this is somebody I love, this is a marriage that I am invested in, and so I but I want to do this as my token to first of all appreciate or show my love to this person, and also commit to the success of this marriage institution that we share, right? So
So really, I would, we need to understand the importance of us in marriage, because if a lot of people understood the importance of ex in marriage. Some women will not use it as a weaponizing tool, or or punish. Some people will say they punish. I will not give him. He did not do this. I will not. Thank you. He did not do me well. He did not give me money. I will not. There's some things we lock up. It's not just, you're not just trying to punish your husband. You're suffocating intimacy in your marriage as well. So
and by extension, the marriage itself.
Exactly. So if you understand this thing, that it's even beyond your husband. It's even about what you become. It's also building you. You're becoming a better person at love, a better lover. A better lover. I'm learning to love and be patient and be kind with myself and my time and everything. It's also helping your marriage. So by trying to punish your husband, you're suffocating intimacy in your marriage. You are just punishing your marriage as well, not just your husband. So I think one prayer we should make, but if you're single and if you're engaged and even married, is just, God, help me understand the bigger picture. Help me understand the bigger picture, because the bigger picture is always beyond you. A bigger picture is always beyond you. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing is that the mind is the biggest sexual organ. Like, you don't underestimate the power of your mind when it comes to sex in marriage. The mindset you come into marriage with will impact your marriage either positively or negatively. So you have to weigh your thoughts, weigh with knowledge, read the right resources, gain the right resources and the right knowledge, even with scriptures as well, correlate them with scriptures. For some people, they have the wrong mindset about sex. Like, maybe some people thinking that sex is only supposed to be for the men, and because of that, the woman is not even going to make any effort to enjoy it, or the mindset she's going to have about it as if she's just doing her husband a favor and things like that. Or the man too can have the mindset that a lot of things. So you need to weigh your mindset with with the right knowledge and also with the scriptures.
So just to say something, when you said something about the mindset of women, some women probably thinking that sex is only for the men and things like that. The flip side as well is something I also observed at some point, where men feel like they are the ones who, they are just using the women. And this is a language that I used to hear some men say it when they want to refer to sexual intercourse, and it irks me. It kind of irritates my ear when I hear it. They say something like, if I struggle to, do it when I want to use a woman. I was like, excuse me, because that's not, it betrays their mindset, the mentality. So that kind of man or those kind of people will not pay attention to the woman as to whether they are enjoying whatever is going on, or it's just that for them, this woman is just an object for this, and all they need to do is just release the tension and then they get away. So all those kind of mindsets, I just hope that people that are listening to this don't have that kind of mindset. But if you have that kind of mindset, it's very important that you deal with it before you get into marriage.
Yeah, so there are different mindsets. Your mindset can actually be a hindrance to you enjoying sex in marriage. It can even be unrealistic expectation that can be a mindset, whatever it is. I know that there's a mindset that I came with that innocently. Sometimes some of these things are very innocent, but I thank God now I know better. Knowledge has helped me, and that's why we're trying to also put out this video, so that we can bridge knowledge gaps as well. And for some people, some mindsets can actually be due to their past, the guilt or whatever experience they had in the past and all of that. So for some people, they might be equating sex to hurt or pain. Some people, it can be guilt or shame. Whatever mindset, you just need to check your mindset, and that is why it's also good to have discussions with your partner, the expectations and what they think about it, and also learn from the right resources as well, because your mind can be an impediment to you enjoying a glorious encounter. Okay. Yeah.
It's very essential that you pay attention to the mindset that you have about sex when you come into it, especially also for Christians. Do not see sex as dirty, because this is what God ordained it to happen within the context of marriage. And so within the context of marriage, you should feel free to express yourself and express your thoughts about this and share this and communicate this openly with your partner. Some ladies, the impediment to them actually having a good intimate life with their partner could be that they have this mindset and mentality that is a dirty thing, and moreover, ladies shouldn't be talking about it or expressing how they feel and things like that, and that can become a mental block for them. So it's important that you let go of those things and be free within the context of marriage and share openly with your spouse.
So I just want to end with this because we're gradually coming to the end of this video. Tell me if you're enjoying it so far. Tell me if you're learning anything. Tell me the points that stood out for you. I just want to say this, that sex is a beautiful gift given to us by God. And, the way you use a gift shows how you value that gift. Okay, example, one of my birthdays, you got me a MacBook, and I'm so grateful because it's helping me with my editing and a lot of things. But imagine if you got me that laptop and I just tossed it aside somewhere. I'm not using it. It's accumulating dust and all. I'm sure you will feel bad. So the way we appreciate a gift that God gave to us in the context of marriage, it reflects in the way we use this gift. Do you just, subject it to feelings? Do you just toss it aside? Do you use it to punish your partner? Do you use it to, do you even use it to show dominate your partner as a man? Do you use it to show that, do you use it for yourself? Are you selfish? You just want to climb out and leave the other person? The way you use this gift, remember, has to be in honor to God, and it shows whether you value this gift or not. And even when you don't use it, if you're not having sex regularly in your marriage, it's like saying, God, we did not ask you for sex. It's like saying we don't care about this gift. So the way you use it or not use it anyhow just shows how much you are grateful to God for this gift, or how much you value God for this gift. So when you understand this, then you realize that you have to be intentional about the gift that God gave you in the context of marriage. When you understand the bigger picture, when you understand that it's a gift, when you have understanding of so many things, you can be intentional about it. And intentionality means what? It means communicating, with your partner. What do you like? What don't you like? You feel like this, you don't feel like this. Okay, you're tired, like we mentioned. Okay, you're tired, and maybe we should schedule it for later. You can even plan. You can plan for this. You can try to be more intentional, try to prioritize it. Some of us prioritize kids and schoolwork and a lot of things even more than sex. So when you value it as a gift, you say, okay, we're going to prioritize it. And prioritizing it doesn't mean it's going to be regular. It just means you're going to put it in the agenda. You're not going to just relegate it to feelings whenever it happens, spontaneity and all of that. Sometimes it requires intentionality, like today, by so and so time, let us come together and fellowship, something like that. Okay,
there's this model that I think it was Pastors Kingsley and Mildred Okonkwo who shared this, said that this is something they do in their marriage. So because as human beings there will be times that you just absolutely cannot get this to happen because one person is not able to, maybe because of tiredness or something else. Now he said that what they usually do is that the person who couldn't has to be the person to initiate it the next time, and it has to be within 24 hours, right? So I think that is really, really very good, because then it tells this person that yes, genuinely you couldn't because you were tired or something, and it's not because this person is not wanted. Because what tends to happen is that if the lady tells the man, okay, I'm tired all the time, the man thinks she doesn't want him. And if it's the other way around, the man is always telling the lady he's tired, he just came back from work and all of that, the lady might start to think, is he seeing someone else at work? Is there somebody else in his life and all of that? So these things can introduce friction that's not supposed to be there, but it's due to the lack of proper communication and the system that works. So this model might be something that some people might want to incorporate if they're having similar type of issues.
Yeah, that's true. So I was trying to say, how do you show that you value this gift? How do you use it? How do you show intentionality? By communicating your needs. It also shows in how you get knowledge about this, build knowledge, you learn about it, you read about it, you try to know about this. Yes, that God has given us this gift doesn't mean that it's going to be automatically perfect. So I value this gift and I'm going to research it. Just like you value something and you want to learn, okay, I want to know how to do it and do it excellently, do it well to the glory of God. So you're learning about it shows your intentionality and that you're being grateful for the gift that God has given. So there are a lot of nice Christian resources to use, some books that has helped me as well, like the one I reviewed in my last video, and there's a recent one that I just read by Dr. Kevin Lemon. I think it's Sheet Music. I can't remember the name, but it was a very good book. It's a very, very good book. So, and it's written by a Christian author. He's a Christian. I think he is a counselor. He's a Christian counselor. Yeah, I love when Christians actually have resources that can help us learn. Oh, I love it so much. Especially resources on sex. I love it because a lot of people don't talk about it a lot. So I love it and I highly recommend. And another way to show that you value this gift or being intentional about this gift is actually to pray about it. I know it looks like pray about, yes, God gave you a gift. Why can't you pray to him. God, I need to know how to do this. We pray to God for a lot of things. Like, I want to be able to hear God. I want to be able to, use my gifts. I want to be able to speak it.
You probably think it's too
You
dirty
think, I
to
don't
ask God
know.
and pray to God
Like,
about
God
it.
gave us these gifts in the context of marriage, where a lot of us just pray to God, like, God, I want to enjoy sex with my husband, or God, I don't always feel like having this. Can you help me? Or God, I want to learn to be more patient with my wife. Like, pray about it. Or both of you say, God, we want to enjoy us in our marriage. We want to be regular. We want to build more intimacy. Like, pray about it as a couple and pray about it individually. I mean, it shows that, yes, I value these gifts, but by myself, it has not been very easy. I want you to be pleased. Okay. So if you understand that sex in marriage is not just physical, it is emotional, it's also spiritual, then I think we would really make a lot of deliberate efforts to see how we enjoy it in marriage. Yeah. Okay, so if you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I would really like to know what point you're taking away from this video. How has this video helped you? What have you learned from this video? Can you share your thoughts? Is there something you wish you knew? Is there something, if you're married, is there something else you wish you knew that others can learn from, so that we can all learn together? I would love you to do me a favor. Please share this video. Sex is not talked about a lot, especially in the Christian community. And this my video is not going to get really monetized because we're talking about sex, but I really want people to learn, to be honest. I really want people to understand the importance of this in marriage, and also have a healthy S in marriage. So please do well to share this video so that I can reach as many people as possible. This can be liberating for some people in their marriages, and for some people like us, they will learn it even way before they enter into it, so that they can have a beautiful experience, because that is my desire. Okay, so I will see you in my next video. So don't forget to comment, to like, to share, and also click the notification button so that you can get notified when I post. And of course, this is a good place to be if you love things marriage, dating, relationship, family. Just subscribe so that you can get more of this content. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.